So let's talk about face value. You know, that first impression you get of someone in just a fraction of a second? Today we're diving into the surprising science behind it, and why that gut feeling, well, it might be a lot more accurate than you think.
I mean, let's start with a wild question. Do you think your brain has a built-in CEO detector? Could you tell a successful leader from a not-so-successful one just from a photo? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But it's the exact question scientists decided to tackle.
You know how it is. You meet someone or even just see their picture and boom, you get a vibe. Trustworthy, smart. Not so much. We do it instantly, without even thinking. But here's the billion-dollar question. Is that just our own random biases talking, or is our brain actually picking up on something real? To figure this out, researchers decided to look under the hood at our brain's impression engine. They set up a really clever experiment to see if our snap judgments could actually line up with, real-world success. So what they did was, they got a bunch of people and put them inside an fMRI machine, one of those big brain scanners. Then, they showed them a series of faces of CEOs from Fortune 1000 companies. Now, the participants had no idea who these people were, but the scientists, they were watching one specific part of the brain light up, the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's social gut check center. And right away they found something pretty cool. The faces that the participants later said looked like strong leaders were the very same faces that caused the biggest reaction in their amygdalas during the scan. So that confirmed it. This little part of the brain is ground zero for forming first impressions.
Okay, but this is the part that is just wild. The researchers took it one step further. They compared that brain activity not just to people's opinions, but to something totally objective, the actual profits of each CEO's company. And get this, they matched. The more a CEO's face lit up someone's amygdala, the more profitable their company actually was.
So that gut feeling isn't just some random stereotype firing off in your head. It's a real neural signal that is somehow, some way, connected to actual measurable success. It's like our brains are hardwired to see face value, and, incredibly, they're often right. Okay, so our brains are basically ancient hardware, designed to judge faces in the wild. But what happens when you plug that ancient hardware into the very modern world of a video call? Because now, there's a lot more to judge than just a face. See, when you meet someone in person, your impression engine is locked on their face. But on a video call, suddenly there's this huge new piece of data to process, the background. What's going on behind you becomes a massive part of that first impression. Which, of course, led another group of researchers to ask the question we've all probably wondered about. Does my Zoom background actually change how competent or trustworthy people think I am? And the answer was a resounding yes. The results were crystal clear. When it came to looking trustworthy and competent, two backgrounds were the consistent winners, plants and bookcases. And the ones that performed the worst? A view into your home, or one of those novelty backgrounds like a beach or outer space.
I mean, just look at this graph of the competence ratings. You can see how the bookcase and plants do really well, and then bam, this huge drop-off for home and novelty. It's not a small difference. It really drives home the idea that in this virtual world, your background is basically your new business suit.
But of course, the background is only half the story. The study also dug into two other huge factors, the expression on your face and your gender. And what they found here was maybe even more eye-opening.
Let's start with the easy one, the smile. The data here was just overwhelming. It didn't matter what background you had, bookcase, blank wall, blurry living room, whatever. A smiling face was rated as way more trustworthy than a neutral one, every single time. It's like a universal cheat code for building trust. All right, but the study's biggest bombshell came when they started slicing the data by gender. You know, there are a lot of old, tired stereotypes out there that might suggest a bias towards male faces being seen as more competent. Well, that's not what the data said. Not at all.
In fact, they found the complete opposite. You can see it right here in the competence ratings. Across the board, female faces were rated as significantly more competent and more trustworthy than male faces. It's a really powerful finding that pushes back against some very common biases.
And if you want to know just how strong this effect was, check this out. Remember how badly the home background tanked everyone's ratings? Well, for female faces, that negative hit to their trustworthiness almost vanished. Their perceived trustworthiness was just so high that it pretty much canceled out the bad background. So, after all that, what's the takeaway? How do we take this fascinating science about brains and backgrounds and actually apply it to, our next meeting?
Well, it really just boils down to three main things. First, remember that people's brains are making a judgment in milliseconds, so that first impression counts. Second, treat your background like your new business suit. Choose it wisely. Plants and bookcases are always a safe and effective bet. And third, and maybe most important, your smile is your superpower. It is the fastest way to build trust.
And all this really leaves us with one last big question. In this new world of virtual calls, where we can literally curate every pixel of the image we project, we have more control than ever before. So the question isn't just about what works, it's about what you want to say. Who are you choosing to be?